Hey ladies and gentlemen, Richard Core Kenobi here, and I'm back again for another movie review, and today we are reviewing the newest DC animated original movie, or the continuation of the New 52 animated universe. And today we have the long-awaited Teen Titans The Judas Contract. This is, of course, an adaptation based off of the comic that reinvented the Titans and basically changed everything and made them a household staple. And of course, this adaptation was loosely done in, of course, Season 2 of Teen Titans, the original, not that other one. But for years, we've always thought that we would never get an actual animated adaptation on this, until it was announced last year that, yes, indeed, we would. And, of course, after seeing the trailer, I was a little bit nervous, and it is now available on digital, so you can download it on digital HD off iTunes or wherever you download your streaming videos on, and, of course, you can watch it. But there will be some minor spoilers because I don't want to give all of the spoilers away because I do want you guys to watch this with open minds and be surprised and shocked, and the fact that this doesn't come out on Blu-ray for about 2 more weeks. So yes, with all of this being said, let's go ahead and get into this. Alright, so my general overall thoughts for Teen Titans The Judas Contract. This is probably my favorite New 52 movie of the animated movies. This definitely is better than all of them. And it's even slightly better than Teen Titans vs. Justice League. This is just amazing. This film surprised me. It was very good. It was actually a little longer. Not too long, but long enough. It actually took its time to set these things up. It didn't just start immediately fast-paced like the others, because that's a problem I've had, and you unfortunately cannot deny yourself that the DC animated films, the newest ones from the New 52, even to the original ones, sometimes their pacing is just ridiculously short, and you just feel like you can't get fully invested into them, not like the old ones. This one, on the other hand, took its time. And, of course, I should mention that most of the cast from the original come back. And once again, this is directed by one of my favorite DC animated directors, Sam Liu, who, of course, directed Justice League vs. Teen Titans. He directed Justice League Gods and Monsters. He directed Batman the Killing Joke. I know that the last one sounds a little iffy, but overall, he is a great director, and I have to say, he even did an amazing job directing this one, so big props to him. I even talked to him on Twitter, and he was very nice. So, yes. Now, for those of you who actually have not read the comic, which it's okay, you don't have to feel ashamed for not reading the source material that films are based off of, but I'll give you a short synopsis because I did read the comic when I was a kid, and I actually reread it last year in preparation for this one. So yes, so the 80s comic basically starts where we see events unfold where Tara is basically a spy, and one by one she starts capturing the Titans for Slade, and we actually, not many people know this, but the Judas Contract gave us the backstory of Slade, because at the time, in the 80s, he was actually called the Terminator, but for obvious reasons, they couldn't call him that whenever the animated show came out, or nor could they call him Deathstroke, because too violent, so that's why they called him by his first name. So yes, and of course, the Judas Contract is arguably famous for turning Robin into Nightwing. Robin at this point had quit being Robin. Dick Grayson decided that Robin was always going to be in Batman's shadow. He was always going to be a part of Batman, so he wanted to be his own person, so he quit being Robin for a couple of, I would say about a couple of months, and then, of course, he moved in with Starfire, so their relationship got bumped up a little bit. They had an apartment together. Then We also got the introduction of Jericho, Slade's son, which, by the way, that ending, that could be interesting. And, of course, we saw Slade's wife. We basically see Tara and Slade together. Yeah. A lot of shit went down. And, of course, we saw the new formation of the new Teen Titans. And, of course, spoiler alert, just like in this movie, which this is not a spoiler, and just like in the original comic that these two are based off of, Tara dies. And she basically sacrificed herself. And it was very sad. Now, that's basically the gist of what happens. If you saw this movie, then it did follow it pretty good. But I know most of you are going to say, but they already did it in this. So what's the difference between this and this? Well, the difference between this, and the comic is that this is not, and I repeat, this is not the Titans from the comics. This is loosely based off those Titans. This is the same group, but they decided to basically have their own original spin on it. So when they did get around to doing the Judas contract in Season 2, you can tell they did it basically their own way, because, see, that's the thing. For people who, I'm going to get to this later, but understand that the Judas contract happened in the span of 4 episodes. 4 episodes of the original Teen Titans. Now, 4 episodes, unfortunately, does not sound like a lot because, well, we only got introduced to Tara in Season 2. We didn't get a whole season, which would have been nice, but hey, whatever. But for the time, I liked the Teen Titans original show, Judas Contract version of it. I thought that adaptation was very good. But now that we have this, we can finally talk about it. Now let's finally talk about it. So, sorry, had to give you guys a quick backstory because you guys are arguably, understandably, going to have questions. So, I'll answer them. Alright, so basically, everything that I just talked about in the comic happens in this movie. So, of course, well, almost. I mean, Damian is still a part of the team. So is Blue Beetle. So they're still there. But some of the elements that happened in the comic happen in this movie. For example, Nightwing is now a part of the Titans again. And we actually see his and Starfire's relationship go to the next level. They get an apartment, and they're living together, just like they were in the comics. And we do see Nightwing and Slade fight at one point, which, by the way, is amazing. It is so amazing how they were able to recapture that moment from the comic and put it in this film. Just, mwah. We also get the escalation of Beast Boy and Tara's relationship, again, like in the show, like in the comic, and so on and so forth. But let me just talk about it for a second. Okay, so let's talk about some good, let's talk about some bad, and my overall recommendation. Okay, so let's start off with the good. The good, the first 3 minutes. The first 5 minutes, I should say, the first 5 minutes of this film is amazing. It starts off with a flashback to 5 years ago when the Titans were still young, when Dick Grayson was still Robin, and he was leading the Titans. We just see the old Titans go on a mission. They just happen to be going around, and they just happen to be in the vicinity when the Gordanians attack Starfire, trying to bring her back to her homeworld after her sister put a bounty on her, and they spring into action, they save her, and that's basically where it ends. So, again, those first 5 minutes, yes, I just summed up those first 5 minutes in less than a spam of a minute, but trust me, the first 5 minutes of this film is amazing. Like, we already get to see the chemistry and connection between the old Titans. We, of course, see Robin, Dick Grayson, Beast Boy when he was still wearing his old costume, and after he had just left the Doom Patrol, we saw Bumblebee, who was never actually an original member of the original Titan. I mean, she was a Titan, but she was never a part of the original core group. Then, of course, we see Roy Harper, who is voiced by his Young Justice actor, which is amazing. And lastly, Kid Flash, who is also voiced by his Young Justice actor. So, yes, we basically see the 5 Titans, and oh my goodness, seeing all of their chemistry together, seeing them talk, it's just amazing. Like, hearing Beast Boy, this is a running thing, by the way. I guess you could say this is a running plot. Beast Boy discovers what Twitter is, and he's slowly gaining followers. And, just seeing the dynamics between these titans of old was just amazing. It definitely reminded me, the writing for them was so good, it did remind me of the old show. And I was just thinking to myself, I want an animated prequel with these titans. I want to see the original 6 titans and how they basically became the titans that led to the next generation of modern titans that we see in this movie. That would have been awesome. So yes, I gotta give them credit for that. And of course, we immediately see how awesome Dick and Corey's relationship is handled, because again, finally it's handled right. Thank you so much. Of course, we gotta talk about the other characters. Beast Boy and Blue Beetle were the highlight for me. Mainly Beast Boy. I mean, I'm a huge Beast Boy fan, always have been, so the Beast Boy has more of a shine line in this movie, and it's understandably, rightfully so. I can immediately understand him. Also, Blue Beetle, again, huge Blue Beetle fan, mainly Ted Kord and Jaime Reyes, but Jaime Reyes has a special place in my heart. Seeing Jaime Reyes' struggle with the Scarab in this really was good, and it does make me want to see that expanded upon if he's ever involved in something else. These two were the main highlights for me. Seeing Nightwing and Starfire's relationship, again, the talk between them, the sex talk between them, again, it's not just sex talk, because, see, that's the problem I had. They would really hammer home that, oh yeah, Nightwing and Starfire, all they love to talk about is sex. They can have a normal conversation that doesn't lead into sex, or they can be funny. So, yes, now I know that's how Starfire is, but I don't like the fact that, okay, that's just a running joke that was getting old, and geez, I'm just glad now it's an actual relationship that's building up and you can understand why they're together. And I love that. I love that about this relationship. It's very nice. Of course, now we must talk about Deathstroke. Deathstroke, by the way, better in here than he was in Son of Batman, and it is unfortunately, it must be said that he was played by Miguel, who you all know was the voice of Vandal Savage in Young Justice, but he's also famous for being in RoboCop, mainly RoboCop 1, as, you know, the guy who invented RoboCop. So yes, it's very sad that he passed away this year, but he left behind a great performance in this movie. Like, his Slade Wilson voice was just amazing. I really loved Deathstroke, and I was just happy to see him. Now, it would have been nice if they would have expanded this movie to give Deathstroke, more backstory. Like, again, we see his son, but there's no... it doesn't lead to where you think it does, because in the comics it did. It led to where he didn't even know his son had powers. So that would have been nice to see a confrontation between him and his son. But yeah, that ain't gonna happen. They do explain how he's alive, via Take a Guess. So yeah, but Deathstroke was easily one of the best villains of this movie. Brother Blood, he was also good. I enjoyed him for what he did, although it just would have been... I understand they had to make Deathstroke and Brother Blood and the Hive the villains because, again, they are the villains of the original, but it just would have been nice if they would have given Hive and Brother Blood, I don't know, just give us more to connect with them as villains, because the only villain you care about in this movie is Deathstroke. You don't care about Brother Blood or Hive. I mean, it's cool to see them do stuff. It's nice to see Brother Blood kick ass later on in the climax, but it's just like, really? I mean, Slade was the only good part. So, yeah, that's just a minor complaint. That's probably one of the only minor complaints I have. But the highlight villain of this is Deathstroke, especially the creative ways he does take out the Titans, like he did in the comics. And it's just interesting to see how far he's grown as a character. And seeing him fight both Nightwing and Damian is just amazing. They really put their heart and soul into this. So, yeah. And, now... Oh, and, of course, can't forget Raven. Raven's my favorite. Raven is, Well, she's Raven. I mean, because the first movie was dedicated to setting up the Titans, but it was mostly Raven's story. So they don't really, I mean, they do mention the events from the first movie. They mention the fact that, yeah, Raven still has her father trapped in a gem that's inside her head, and her father does talk to her. They mention everything that happened, because this takes place a year after that movie, but it's just weird that that's basically it. Like, it would have been nice to see Raven escalate. I mean, Raven is still Raven. She's not thrown off to the side. She's not forgotten about. You still remember she's there. It's nice to see her relaxed and laid back. This Raven is a little bit more relaxed, laid back. She's not broody like she was in the original. So that's nice. I can respect that, and I do like that. But it just would have been nice to see her overcome some kind of story, like, I don't know. But they still kind of do hint that, yeah, Damien and Raven might be a thing. And now that Damien's older, why not? I'm just saying. Would have been nice. But either way, Raven is still good, as always. But let's talk about the main event here. Let's talk about Tara, because I know that's what a lot of people want to know. Okay, so here's the thing, okay? Ashley Johnson, who did an amazing job as Tara. Ashley Johnson is one of my favorite actresses. Of course, I loved her as Tara and Ellie. Okay, Ellie. Sorry, I was pointing the wrong one. I loved her as Ellie and Tara, and she did an amazing job performing as Tara. And her voice is the voice I hear for Tara whenever I read a comic that has Tara in it. Now, Christina Ricci, who does play Tara in this, I think she did just as an amazing job. Now, some people will have their nitpicks, I understand that, but for what Christina Ricci had to do at the end, I think it was more impactful. And so, yeah, I'm not saying Christina Ricci is better than Ashley Johnson. Don't take that. Don't take anything I'm saying as a fact, or don't take it out of context. I'm just saying, okay, I liked Christina Ricci as Tara. Now, some people are going to be confused and say, why isn't she just like how she was in this? Why wasn't she like it? You know, why was this character not like this character? Well, I'll explain that. That character of Tara was kind of a departure, and arguably, understandably so, from the comics, because the comics version of Tara is not like that at all. She actually is... What she was in this movie, it perfectly represents what she was in the comic. Except she was slightly a little older, and she kind of, and I'm surprised they didn't, well, it's kind of understandable if they didn't do this, but she kind of had a thing for Nightwing, especially when Nightwing is for Dick Grayson, especially when Dick Grayson is getting rid of the Robin suit. She literally tells him to strip. She's literally saying, take it all off. She's enjoying what she's seeing, and of course, you know, Dick and but thankfully, and I say thankfully, don't worry, Dick and Tara were never a thing. He was still with Starfire, always was, and still is in this movie, so don't worry. But, so, yeah, that representation of Tara is, you can say unlikable. I don't want to say a bit of a bitch, because I don't feel that's appropriate. She was just complicated. And I feel they perfectly captured that here. I really do. I could see elements of that, and Christina Ricci's performance as the 80s version, the 80s modern version of this Tara was very nice, and I just loved hearing her. I think it was very nice, and I was just happy to see her perform and represent this character very well. Now, again, some people were also probably going to wonder, why don't they have a love triangle between Beast Boy Tara and Raven, like the show? Again, this is based off of the comic. The comic didn't do any of these things, so do not expect this movie to do the same. This movie and the TV show, the old one, are completely two different entities in how they represent and adaptate the Judas contract. The Teen Titans TV show Judas contract was loosely based off of it. It took elements from it, but it wasn't a full adaptation. It was taking elements from it, but it was still its own thing. So that's why it was the way that was. This is not like that. This is a full, new modern day New 52 representation, adaptation of the comic. And as I said, it captures that well. I can perfectly see this Tara being very good. Now, there are some problems with her. Again, this is not a flawless, this is a good performance. Yes, Christina Ricci did an amazing job with what she was given, and when she is confused and screaming and just sacrificing herself at the end, you really feel sad for her. You do feel an emotional connection to her. But before that, here's the problem. She has been with the Titans, as far as this movie has told us, off-screen with them for a year. And we never get to see that. That would have been interesting to see if this movie was, say, an hour and 30 minutes. Then I would have liked it if maybe we would have gotten flashbacks to seeing how Tara first interacted with the Titans, how it was hard for her to adjust, and just basically show us how she grew with them. And in this movie, we do see that a year and a half spending with them has, made her appreciate and care about them. Because again, to her, spoiler alert, she's working with Deathstroke. And by the way, also spoiler alert, it's hinted that Deathstroke and Tara have a thing, but unlike in the comic, they actually never did it. So don't worry, they do not have sex in this film. They're not going the Killing Joke route. So again, put your worries and thoughts away. Don't worry about that. Okay, we'll talk about that in the next video. So, yeah. But in the TV show, granted, Tara had 4 episodes worth of development. Now, again, that's just 4 episodes, but put those 4 episodes together, that's like, what? An hour, maybe 2.5 hour event? So you basically got somewhat of a movie with that if you take all those Tara episodes and put them together. But with this, you only get an hour and a half, and it very much is sad that we don't get to know more and see how she escalated with the team. And, it's fine. I understand that, unfortunately, they have to do what they have to do. I understand that. And it just would have been nice if maybe we would have gotten more. And hopefully that's exploited. And finally, her relationship with Beast Boy, again, like in the comics, it was done well. They pretty much nailed it beat for beat, so I'm okay with that. Now, I'm not gonna lie and say, I'm not gonna be lying to you guys and say that, yeah, I kind of do still have a soft spot for the original show's version and portrayal and chemistry, because Ashley Johnson and Greg Snipes did an amazing job together. So I would be lying if I said I didn't enjoy that much more. This one is good. I mean, the actors have chemistry. You can buy that Beast Boy is just trying to get her to let her guard down. He's just trying to get her. He's not trying to take advantage of her. He just sees her as the standout that he wants to be with. So, again, you understand that. But, yeah. So, now let's talk about the bad. Because those were mostly the good things. Everything in this movie is mostly flawless. But there are some flaws that, unfortunately, keep this movie from being, say, a 10 out of 10. Once again, this movie is no longer than an hour and 30 minutes. Now, it is actually, I looked at the runtime, and it actually is a little longer than most of the other ones. So that's good that they did that. We got some extra minutes, but I just wanted to see more. I really did. I just felt like maybe there were some scenes I should have seen. Because, again, we get the famous scene where Nightwing and Deathstroke fight, and then we basically, because in the comics, we actually got to see Dick Grayson work with Jericho when he became Nightwing, and we got to see him try and break into the Hive compound to save the Titans. And here, we see him break in, but we don't actually see, you see what I'm saying? It would have been more interesting to have Jericho in there, but that's just me. I personally think that, they should have, because, again, also one thing I really forgot to mention, unlike the last couple of times, Damian does not play a huge part in this role. he still kind of does, but he's not in the front and center spotlight anymore. Now the front and center spotlight is on Nightwing, and mostly Starfire, Beast Boy, but mostly Nightwing. So it is nice that finally they took our advice and they decided to not give Damian too much spotlight. However, I wouldn't be lying if I said I kind of would have wanted to see. There's a party scene later on where they celebrate Tara's 1-year anniversary with them. I would not be lying if I said I would have liked to see Damian in that. I mean, it just would have been nice. And of course, I don't know. I mean, it is nice that we still have Damian. It's just, I wish they would have been able to, you know, give us slightly more of him being lowered and keeping his guard down. Because, okay, here's the other thing. He's still acting somewhat the same way from the last time. And the whole point of the first movie was to not have him be the way he was being. In this movie, again, Stuart Allen, who's been playing Damian since Son of Batman, he has grown. He literally has grown. And him and Damian have aged. So you can hear that Damian is more mature, but he's still acting like the very one-dimensional, cute brat that he always does. It just would have been nice if they toned that down a little. Well, they did tone it down, but it just would have been nice if, okay, he can still be that way, but just don't have it be a thing. Because what does he do whenever Blue Beetle can't control the Scarab? He tells them to get it under control. Again, when he and Beetle were starting to become friends in the first movie, what does he do to Raven? When she figures out that something may not be right with Tara, he wants to know. He's still being the non-trustworthy person. You see what I mean? So if they would have kept that down a little bit, I think that would have been fine. But yeah, that's basically it. Just like I said, my main bad thing I can say about this, and this isn't even a bad thing, this doesn't take away my enjoyment of it, it's just a complaint, it's just a minor nitpick. I wanted to see more. I really did. I wanted to see more and see where this went and, you know, see how this could have gone. Because, again, just would have been nice. Oh, also, Cyborg is not in this movie because we don't even know. He went back to the Justice League, which the last movie tricked us into thinking he was going to finally be a part of the Titans, but nope, he's not. No explanation why. Just, okay, well, whatever, I guess. So, yeah, guys, overall, final recommendation. This was a good movie. From beginning to end, I had a lot of fun. I was entertained. I can easily say that this is better, in my opinion, than Justice League Dark. And it's nice to know that they didn't force anything down our throats like they've been trying to do with the rated R stuff. The chemistry between every character is nice. The romantic play with Nightwing and Starfire, the chemistry they have, it's amazing. Seeing Tara and Deathstroke and the others just be amazing, that's just it. The action was good. The animation, once again, on point. They really have slightly improved their craft. And the writing was very good. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. I can easily, if Batman and Harley turns out, God forbid, like The Killing Joke, then I can say once again, like last year, the Teen Titans is now my new favorite DC animated film. So this and Justice League vs. Teen Titans are great additions to the 52 universe. And definitely check this out on digital, and it's definitely worth the buy on Blu-ray. So I would give this a solid 4.5 cores out of 5, and it gets my 4th seal of approval. So, yes, guys, I really hope to see more of the Titans. And finally, because of that tease, spoiler alert, we're finally gonna see Donna effing Troy, a.k.a. Wonder Girl. Finally, finally, finally. Thank you. I really can't wait for that. So, yes, guys, I really want to see more. And thankfully, DC now is showing that they don't have to put Batman in everything. And they're being a little bit more trustworthy, so we could see the beginning of more Titan films. Or, who knows, maybe even other characters. So, yes, guys, if you enjoyed this review, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know down below, what did you think of the Titans film after seeing my review? Will you check it out? Will you give it a pass? Let me know. I really want to hear your guys' thoughts, sorry. Let's get a discussion going. And yes, guys, I really enjoy making these reviews for you, and stay tuned. I will be talking about my thoughts on Batman and Harley Quinn. Oh boy, here we go again. But still looking forward to it, it's just there are some things that have me worried. We'll talk about that. Alright guys, until then, this is Richard Core Kenobi saying, may the Force be with you. See you later, my fellow DC fans.